Hey, how's it going? I want to do a quick video on how we're making the transition in our floor from our floor in our front room. There's the fireplace I was talking about on a previous video where we don't want to raise the floor in this room because basically, gutting the fireplace, gutting the floor, lots of work, lots of trim. So we're just going to blend in. This old front area of the house is from the probably late 1820s, and we wouldn't really want to rip it all up and kind of ruin its character and history. So we're just going to blend kind of our modern living space in the back that we've created kind of with this historic front room here. But I got a problem. This floor is now level and this floor is still crooked. So I got to figure out how to make that transition, and I want to show you kind of how off it is. So for example, over here, you can see it's about 1 inch off. But then when you get over to this side, it's almost getting to 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches off on this side and about 1 inch off on that side. So that's a really tricky bend. Plus the floor on this side, I don't know if you can see it, it's not even either. There's like a million things going on to try to transition these two. So what we ended up doing is I just cut these strips, they're basically shims, out of 2x4 to compensate for all those changes. And I got them pretty close, and then I sanded them. You can see on that side I was a little bit more dedicated. I was trying to make them spaced a little closer, and then I got to this side, I stopped caring. It kind of reminds me, if you've ever been at church, the organ player has all those keys on his feet. So it kind of looks like that thing. But there was a solution I came up with, so I'm going to call it the organ player's trim solution here. And I want to show you how it actually works with the pieces of wood here. So I'll put this here. I'm going to set the camera on this tripod. All right, so first piece of wood comes in here. There we go. Next piece. Now this is just, well, I don't even know. And the next piece. And so on and so forth. And you get the point. There you go. When you get up here, there's going to be a little gap because it's going to have to start bending back. And I didn't do a compound curve to like come back. But it's fine. I think when you feel it, when you actually walk on it, you're going to feel it's a little bit of a ramp up. But it'll be even less noticeable on the other side. This area I only had about 2 feet to make that transition. We're going to have another arch where I have about 3 to 4 feet, almost 4.5 feet. So it'll be a lot easier and it'll be a lot more gradual. Then I'll just, when I'm screwing this in, I'm just going to screw it in right onto these 2x4s, and you won't even feel it. So just one way to try to make a complicated transition between like a level floor like this and an old school unlevel floor. One other reason I don't want to tear this up, I don't know if you can see that. So the floor in the old room is all just crappy pine. In fact, it's probably upcycled pine. But as I was sanding it to smooth these out, I started hitting this really nice looking white oak. And these are wide planks. They're also uneven planks. I don't know if you can see it, but some are 4 inches, some are 3, some are 5 inches, 6 inches. So this is the original flooring, I'm pretty sure, because they wouldn't have used oak. Plus they've gone through the effort. It's a very old type of tongue and groove system that they used. So that means that they actually went to the effort of actually putting a tongue on it, which they wouldn't have done for subfloor. So I think that actually is original 1800s flooring. So someday, if we ever did want to straighten this room, I probably would recycle that floor and make that the actual floor. Change the direction and then just recycle that floor, because it's kind of cool to see, 1800s floor. When you sand the oak down, it's going to look really similar to modern oak, but it's just the history of having something that someone's walked on for 150, 200 years that seems like a shame to kind of tear it out. So So yeah, so we'll maybe someday that'll be the project, but for now, that's how we're gonna make that transition. I'll do a video when everything's done in the room. That way you can kind of see the way it looks, and hopefully if you have a weird situation where you gotta make a very steep, unusual transition between two oak floors. This is super complicated. Like I said, 2.5 inches of rise on that side, about 1 inch to 3/4 on that side. So, and a twist basically because there's a bow on the other floor. So that's a hard one. That's a hard one to do. So, all right, hope this helps someone.